Hi, my name is Wright Tilley, and I am a patient of Dr. Richard Stark, who saved my life, and this is my story of how he did that. To see Dr. Stark in August for my annual annual checkup, and everything was good. It turned out, things were fine. Said I sounded good and all of that kind of stuff. Heart sounded good, lungs sounded good. As he was wrapping up, he said, "Anything I need to be aware of?" And initially I said, "No, not really." But then I thought, about 2 months ago, I had this weird little sensation on the left side of my body. So Dr. Stark said, "Tell me a little bit more about that." And I said, "Well, it was on the left-hand side, not on my chest, but kind of under my arm on the side of my body." And I said, for lack of a better description, it was like little electrical impulses that happened 4 or 5 times a day over the course of 2 days, just at random intervals. And he said, I'm not really liking the sound of that. So he said, "Hold on a second," and came back in and said, "It's been 5 or 6 years since we did an EKG with your physical." So he said, "I think we should do one." I said, "That'd be great." And so he did, and they hooked me up, pushed the button. I remember him saying, "Well, it's not the worst I've seen." He said, "But there's something definitely going on that we need to investigate a little further." So at that point, he suggested that I go for an echocardiogram and a stress test, I guess the nuclear stress test option. So anyway, I did the echocardiogram first, and there was nothing that they found there. And then I did the stress test, and that indicated that there could be an issue on the back left side of my heart, I guess. And so I didn't know what that meant or what the issue might have been or anything like that. But so the next step in the process was a heart cath. And so he referred me to said he needed to refer me to a cardiologist. And I reached out to a friend of mine who had been through heart surgery not too long ago and got the name of his doctor and got the referral and all of that. And so I went and had the procedure done, and I'm thinking, they explained everything to me ahead of time, and possibly if there's a blockage, we'll put a stent in and all of that. So I thought, okay, if anything happens, I'll put a stent in and I'll be fine. I remember, I guess I was awake during the procedure, but not really aware of what was going on. So I remember coming back into reality, I guess, and I said, "Did you put a stent in?" And they said, "No, we're consulting with a cardiac surgeon. We think the best course of action is going to be heart surgery," which totally freaked me out. I mean, I had no chest pain, no shortness of breath, no symptoms of any kind that would lead to believe that I would need open heart surgery. So I had 100% blockage, a 99% blockage, and then another artery that was blocked 70% at one point and 50% at another. So I was a walking time bomb. And, everybody from the cardiologist to the surgeon to the nurses said, "I don't know who your primary care doctor is, but you need to thank him when you get back home." And I said, "Well, he's awesome, and I absolutely will." And so, that was my first phone call when we got back, was to Dr. Stark to just thank him and tell him, what his colleagues and other people thought about him. And I said, I totally agree. I said, he could have very easily said, "Well, it's probably nothing. If you have any more symptoms or it gets worse, come back in 6 months, or we'll check it next year at your annual physical," or whatever. But he took it seriously and went through the process of steps of, tests in the sequence, I guess. And I'm grateful for that. So, it was kind of emotional telling him that I feel like he saved my life. And, my wife was a little more emotional than I was. She kind of broke down in tears telling him she's a patient of Dr. Stark's as well. So, we both think the world of him. So anyway, I ended up with triple bypass surgery. The other interesting thing was when they were doing the heart cath, they said, "When did you have your heart attack?" And I said, "Well, I've never had a heart attack." And they said, "Yes, you have." So I thought, I'd asked the question, how could I have had a heart attack and not known that I'd had a heart attack? And the cardiologist told me, he said, "You'd be surprised, 1 out of every 5 or 6 are undetected," which completely blew my mind. I had no idea that was the case. So, very grateful for Dr. Stark and for the procedures and for the care, and went back to see him not too long after the surgery, and everything had a great follow-up with him. And so, yeah.